understaffing, rude staff, going to the bathroom in the gazebo twice. These are only a few of the problems that I have heard about slash seen on social media about Katsucon. So I want to start off this video by saying that I did record this earlier in the week, and today's Saturday, and I'm further adding on to the original video that I had recorded. I'm not completely scrapping the old one, but a lot of new stuff has come out about Katsucon that I feel like need to be added onto this video to fully expand the scope of every single problem that happened at Katsucon. This isn't every little issue, but a good grand scope of a lot of the problems that did happen at Katsucon. I'm going to mention right now some of the added information involves drugging, essay, and a little bit more towards that kind of conversation topics. I will put those at the end of the video and have timestamps so you can avoid those parts if that kind of stuff is a trigger for you. But let's continue on to the video. It has been a couple days since Katsucon, and I am still exhausted from Katsucon, I'll be honest with you. But I felt like I needed to make this video because of the sheer amount of people talking about the various problems that happened at Katsucon this year. And I wanted to get this out before I made the vlog, but I thought that I should address this. For this video, I will be leaving everyone's name anonymous and blurring out the profile pictures because I don't want anyone to go after anyone in this video. And I think the first thing that I definitely noticed that was a glaring issue at Katsucon was the staff. There definitely was an understaffing issue. I heard it Sunday while perusing the dealer's room, two staff members just talking to each other. I wasn't trying to like spy or anything. I just happened to overhear it while I was looking at things. Them talking about how big of a problem the understaffing was at Katsucon, and that was apparent on Friday when I walked through the front doors of the convention. So on Thursday for registration, I had VIP, so it wasn't that bad to get the VIP badge. There was two people doing registration for VIP. It was a little slow, but I'm not gonna complain. I was VIP. There's way worse lines literally right next to me. I heard the general time to get your badge this year was about an hour and a half, which was way better than last year. Last year genuinely took me 3 hours. So there was that. However, Friday walking into the convention, I noticed there was one security guard checking badges. Checking badges. Uh, you could honestly just walk past him. It was kind of surprising. So that was the first issue I noticed personally was usually there's multiple people stopping you, making sure that they checked your badge. Friday morning, no, you could have honestly just walked past security with no badge. There was barely any security checkpoints throughout the convention. I think the only security checkpoints I ever came across was to get into panels or like the main events or to go in the artist alley or the dealer's room. There was none anywhere else except for the gazebo on Sunday, and I heard later on in the day there was like a badge check to get into the gazebo, but Friday there wasn't any. Saturday morning there wasn't any. There was barely any security for the exits and entrances. I remember how I talked about in my guide video that there was a lot of scenery outside that you could take pictures, and I noticed all of the doors were exit only. You had to go all the way back around to re-enter the con. And I heard through various people that I'm mutual with and online that even that wasn't enforced. People were just walking through the doors anyway, and no one was stopping them. But the outside area has a few exit-only doors. Throughout the con, nobody really enforced this, so people were entering and leaving through them all the time. But then it started hailing down freezing cold rain, and all of a sudden they decided to stand in front of those doors and not let anyone take shelter. It just seemed weird that they weren't enforcing it until the moment that everyone was trapped outside in the freezing wet rain. That's not a security risk at all. Should there have been entrances? Yes. I guess they didn't have enough security to check, so every door was just exit only, but there was not security at every door, so People just took advantage of that. First and foremost, I do not speak for Katsucon, and admins can take this down if needed. Hi, I am a staff at Katsucon, and while this past weekend was amazing, quite a few issues were brought to my attention. It would be greatly appreciated if you took a moment to reflect and think of something that could have gone better or gave you trouble throughout the weekend. Please keep it relatively concise, but details, potential solutions are appreciated. Two of my main issues with staff. How are you guys gonna sit there and scream at attendees to wear masks when I saw more staff members not wearing them than there were staff wearing them? Not that many people on staff can have medical issues as to where they can't wear a mask. Second, and my main one, staff were straight up rude. I didn't come across any kind staff members all weekend. I was literally yelled at on multiple occasions while in line or walking to move faster. When I literally have a disability and walk with a cane, it's so rude to tell people to move faster, especially when you can see them have some kind of physical disability. My chief complaint would be if someone puts you in a position of authority, be diplomatic and to the point, using mutually respective verbiage. You were not chosen to be in a position of authority / policy enforcement as an opportunity to work on your stand-up routine or provide unnecessary 2 cents that add no value. Saying things like, "Oh, I'm so proud you have all passed kindergarten today," when people follow direction of standing in a line is just stupid and demeaning and adds no value. Think about just saying what you need to say and in a way that is on a mutual how you'd like to be treated level for everyone. I watched a staff member walking down the 18 plus ban line yelling for people to put their mask on while someone walked directly next to them the entire way without a mask. Also, lots of staff just yelling about masks as people walked past them. No enforcement, just yelling. Y'all need to control the traffic. If you're going to have such a big event with so many people, you need to control the crowd. I know this is not easy, especially with not enough staff, but it needs to be done. Last year was so much better. Also agree with the other person on mandates. Last year the mask mandate was handled so well. This year, staff and artist dealers weren't even wearing them. I will pull up this Facebook post here. I had a great time this year with friends, but I have some grievances. Katsucon has outgrown the National Harbor. This year had Dragon Con levels of people density, and the parking situation was the craziest I've ever seen. Katsucon staff is trying to control too damn much, and it's spreading themselves thin. Poorly enforced mask mandates that staff and vendors don't follow, having a thin line, single line for the dealer's room, inconsistent dress codes, blocking off the gazebo. Come on now. Most years the staff is laid back and only gets involved when needed. This year they just came off as incompetent and disorganized while also being more involved than was necessary. But I'm going to talk about mainly here with Katsucon has outgrown the National Harbor. This might be a controversial take, but I disagree. Was it crowded? Absolutely. I don't think it's outgrown the National Harbor. I think that there's just certain areas that are way too packed, and they need to figure out a way to have areas be less packed, have something more interesting in more parts of the convention. I think that would solve it. So this is a reply to that original comment that I just read about the Gaylord and National Harbor being too overcrowded. I agree that the Gaylord is Katsucon's home and it would feel like a much different convention if it moved elsewhere, but it's also pretty clear that it's outgrown its current location and either needs to cap attendance or move. I agree with capping attendance. I think National Harbor is too cool of a location to lose because the thing I would suggest if you cannot cap attendance is going to the Baltimore Convention Center, but that is such a bad location to change from the National Harbor, which is really pretty, to the BCC. Now, this person I'm definitely disagreeing with this next comment. So there was someone else that was saying that they should move to the Walter E. Washington Convention Center, which is where Otakon is held, and I completely disagree with that. I think the Walter E. Washington Convention Center is terrible. There is nowhere to park, and it's the main reason why I don't go to Otakon anymore. But I have to personally admit, I don't think it was more crowded this year than normal. It felt like typical Katsucon attendance to me, but yeah, it's a very tight squeeze for Katsucon. Like, I guess I'm used to it after going there since 2019, but would it be nice if there was less people? Probably. Another personal anecdote was waiting in line for the dealer's room for VIPs, we got in 30 minutes early than everyone else. There was a delay the first day and it got pushed back by another 30 minutes, so that just caused chaos because you have this line of VIPs and there's nowhere for Katsucon to announce that this is getting pushed back. Someone mentioned to me that lack of communication was a major problem at Katsucon, and this kind of goes into it because if there is an issue or something needs to be moved back, there's no way for Katsucon to communicate this problem. They have a Twitter, they have an Instagram. They could easily put it there, but they don't. I guess one way to mitigate this would be either creating a Discord server so people can have announcements on their phone. However, the service at Katsucon kind of sucks, so that's also a problem. I guess another way would be either having text alerts or some sort of thing that they could make so you can get text messages to your phone being like, "Hey, this is going on." But like I said, the service kind of sucks at Katsucon, so it's not a really easy problem to mitigate with a lack of communication. But yes, I could tell that the staff was already fed up on day one of the convention because the dealer's room itself, that line situation was awful because there was just no way for them to properly communicate. There was a delay and people just kept lining up. They kept trying to go in. And I get it. If I was working it and people were just not listening, because none of these staff really had megaphones either, so they're just screaming their lungs out and people just aren't listening. Something I noticed was that the schedule kept changing and notifications from Guidebook kept coming in incredibly late. I planned to get ready for the gala that was originally showing for me prior to the con to be 5 to 7. I specifically remember thinking how early that was, but hey, first Katsu. Later I found out it was at 8. We got the notification that the dance would start in a bit at midnight. This also happened with autographs. We noticed that the autographs for Kyo's VA from Fruits Basket initially said 3:30 to 5. We went down at 3:30, find the hall closed, and that the schedule had said 1 p.m. instead. We got the notification around 5 p.m. that it was about to start. This happened with a few other friends of mine as well. Super unfortunate considering one of the friends who wanted the autograph from the aforementioned VA flew internationally from Australia to meet him. If the app is not reliable, I suggest printing a physical schedule out for attendees to receive upon badge pickup. Entrance to the dealers. There shouldn't be a line the entire day just to get in. It causes congestion in the main choke point near the info booth. Easy, less effective solution. It was single file passing the Charlie Brown guy, and if anybody had a delay for whatever reason, it brought the line to a standstill. A fork to 2 lines immediately before the badge check would improve flow. Harder solution, 2 entry points. I found another post addressing the Katsucon staff. A lot of previous staff members, myself included, decided to no longer staff for Katsucon following some changes in management. That's really not a stretch to believe just from seeing how the website and announcements were handled this year prior to the event. There was practically no information given, and mostly none of the guests were announced really until less than a month out. They also had the VIP event for the band that Katsucon itself gave no information about, and I only found by manually searching it on Twitter and finding the info from the band's management company. Now I can let a lot of stuff slide, but seeing just how much everyone was ignoring the mask mandate and nothing was done about it was a huge offense for me. If you feel they are needed or not, it's not the point. The fact that it was stated as an event policy way beforehand is enough for it to be respected. That's where we're going to go into the next issue of the mask mandate. This comment perfectly summed up what I was going to say. No matter your stance on mask mandates, that is not the point. I don't care about your stance about mask mandates. That doesn't matter. If you don't want to wear a mask to a convention that's telling you that it is required, do not go to that convention. Plain and simple. I don't understand how that's not a simple thing to do. I'm not asking you to wear your mask every single second while you're at the convention, but at least be courteous enough to wear it when you're around a large group of people. I took off mine when I was completely upstairs with my friends when it's just the 4 of us and there was nobody else around to take pictures. And then we put ours back on when we were done. That's the only time I ever had my mask really off. Anytime I was near large groups of people, it was on. Did I definitely notice that people were not wearing their masks? Absolutely. It was crazy to me how many people were not wearing their masks. Like I said, if you don't want to go to a convention where they force masks, don't go to them. This is a half Katsucon staff, half Katsucon attendees' problem from my perspective, because they cannot enforce every single person to put on a mask, but they could at least, do a better job than doing nothing. But you're not helping by not wearing yours. So I find this equal issues of Katsucon attendees not doing their part, and then Katsucon staff just not also doing their part. I haven't heard about any major outbreaks from Katsucon yet. Well, I definitely spoke too soon. As of recording this on Instagram, people have reported of getting COVID. I have tested negative, and my friends have tested negative, but there are people that have tested positive from Katsucon, so be safe, test yourself. There are some people that have tested positive of COVID from Katsucon. Katsucon had posted this picture to encourage mask wearing, but it didn't go so well in the comments. As you can see, they're encouraging you to wear your mask, and I'm just going to show off all the comments underneath of it. I was part of the Moist Critical group that went around having their pictures taken. At one point in the night, a group of police officers came up pushing one of my friends and really hard shoulder checking another one of my friends. Then they claimed that they had a lot of complaints that we were being hostile, which is 100% incorrect. I tried to say something, and one of the officers told me to shut up, and if we didn't leave and disband now, we would be arrested, and Katsucon would have us banned from the Gaylord permanently. I seriously have no idea what they were talking about because everyone in the group was friendly. One of the Charlie cosplayers was a Katsucon staff security, and they were also confused as to why we're being accused of hostility and threatened with being banned. The Charlie cosplayer directly in the middle was the Katsucon security staff. Edit. I also forgot to add, at the exact same time we were being accused of being hostile, there was a whole mosh pit behind us. I saw this group going to the gazebo when I was at Katsucon. They seemed friendly. I didn't interact with them, but I saw them and they were just in a line. They weren't even being loud or obnoxious. There's definitely plenty of people that are way more loud and obnoxious that I saw, but from my personal, like, a couple second interaction of seeing them, they didn't seem like they were causing any problems. So I don't know why this interaction even happened. While we're in the gazebo, let's talk about the going to the bathroom in the gazebo incidents that allegedly happened. So someone said, if I had a nickel for every time someone in the gazebo, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right? And then someone said, seriously, I took a picture. I'm going to censor this image because we don't need to see that. I don't know if this is just a random picture of crap. I don't know if a dog did it because there was a lot of service dogs. We'll get to that. That was a whole issue I didn't know about. But apparently there was 2 separate incidents of people using the facilities in the gazebo. If this is true, that is disgusting. That is abhorrent levels of disgusting. I don't know how it wasn't stopped if this is true, because I've heard the gazebo was closed down. They shut the gazebo area down due to safety hazards from people throwing heavy objects from higher atrium rooms. If you did this, that's disgusting. Don't do it again, please. It's not funny. It's really not. There's really nothing more I can say than just don't. I thought that was common sense. All right, well, we're gonna move on from this. I don't want to look at this picture anymore. This other issue that I had no idea about. I guess a content warning here for dog on dog attack. If you don't want to hear about this section, here is the timestamp. So this person posts, just saw a service dog, quote unquote, attack another dog, shaking my head. That was not a service dog. Service dogs are trained to not interact with other animals. Yes, they will literally sit there and take a full-on attack, mostly to defend their partner. I would consider reporting the incident because if the dog attacks another dog, that could easily be a person being attacked instead. I've seen so many fake service dogs so far, it's frustrating. This is why I'm leery of cons and service dogs. A guest judge at a different con was attacked last year, and the woman claimed the service dogs, plural, who attacked the cosplayer were spooked by them. I wish there was a better vetting service, but unfortunately it would put more stress on actual service dogs and their owners. I had no idea that this happened at Katsucon. I hope this is just alleged, but I did see a lot of dogs at Katsucon. I never questioned if they were service dogs or not. If you're faking your dog as a service dog, that's kind of messed up. Don't do that. A lot of this video is just don't do that. Don't take your dog and pretend it's a service dog. Just don't. So this is the account of, I believe, 2 different people at Katsucon for getting roofied / getting drugged. So let me go into reading the 2 posts that I saw about getting drugged at Katsucon. I've been seeing a lot more posts regarding people having the experience of getting roofied / drugged at Katsucon on Saturday night. Please, for the sake of both your friends, roommates, loved ones, and anyone alike that drinks during parties or conventions, especially ones as big as Katsucon, Anime NYC, Dragon Con, etc., do not leave them alone. Do not turn your back on your drink, do not trust anyone you've just met, or do not know with your drink or while under the influence. I literally cannot stress this enough. There were people going around doing so. Authorities were told but still lost them in the crowd / only had a vague description. Please stay safe and keep your people and others around you that look in danger safe. And then this one is a more personal account to what happened on Saturday evening at Katsucon. This is real, and this happened not only to them, but myself and others. We all are baffled, and this could be the only explanation to how we all felt Saturday evening. Whoever thought it was okay to drug people at Katsu Saturday night for fun, I hope you go yourself. Hello, after reading multiple posts about the drink situation at Katsu Saturday night, it is unfortunate that I believe I have fallen victim to it as well. After talking with someone who also got roofied in the same bars as me, I've concluded that this is the only reasonable explanation for how I was feeling like absolute death on Sunday. I had a total of 1 margarita after 11 p.m. and felt dizzy / lightheaded for most of the night, but I brushed it off. Coming the following day, I was seeing stars, experiencing extreme nausea, and stumbling while I walked. This had nothing to do with food / hydration, as I made sure to be all weekend. I forced myself to cosplay to get through my shoot, but come after, I needed to take a time out. I was out for nearly 5 hours on Sunday, feeling like absolute, not even able to support my friends at the artist alley. There is absolutely no way 1 margarita could have done that to me. If you know me, you know I can handle my alcohol, and something like this wouldn't get me tipsy, let alone make the room spin for me. The whole thing was unusual, but I hadn't realized till now that this incident was very wrong. Please keep yourself and friends safe. Next year, I will not be taking this chance again. So this is the one post that I did find on Instagram of a personal account of what was happening Saturday night, but I do believe people that are coming out about this. It's extremely sad. I saw posts on Twitter saying that this has happened for the past couple of years at Katsucon. I can't attest whether it has, but I do believe these people. It's a situation like this that I don't think people would fake. Definitely would advise anyone that goes to any convention, honestly, it's not even just bigger conventions, to always just be safe and watch out for yourself. And then another situation that falls into degeneracy and creeps at conventions is this post I saw on Instagram today. This kiss was not consensual. During my photo shoot, this man asked me if he can take some photos with me. I said yes. When I took my leg off the couch from the previous pose, he asked me to put it back up. Since I was in a good mood and generally okay with physical touch, I said sure, as long as he put his leg up too. We hugged for the photos, but then he suddenly kissed me on the cheek, caught on the photo here. In the photo, I'm smiling because I was smiling for previous pics and was shocked. Right after the kiss, I turned to him and told him he needs to ask before kissing someone, and he tried to use being gay as an excuse, as if being gay means he did not just assault me. Thankfully, I had enough presence to get his Insta, do not interact with this man. Cosplay is not consent. Hugging in a picture is not consent to kiss someone. Just because I was okay with physical touch does not mean I consented to being kissed. Men in the cosplay community do better. This post is about Alex Out and how me, on Saturday of Katsucon. Some will try to push this behavior aside. It's only on the cheek. He didn't kiss you on the mouth. He didn't hurt you. He was just being friendly. I don't care. He kissed me without my consent. Please beware of this man in the future, and if you have the strength, speak up about creeps and harassers you find in the cosplay community. Sharing names and info on the dangerous people is the best way we can keep each other safe. Please share, especially if you're in the East Coast cosplay scene. So obviously, this is not okay. 100% none of that is okay. I don't doubt that more people did this at Katsucon. That's the first example that I really saw of someone publicly outing someone for acting like a total creep. This behavior that people are exhibiting at Katsucon, it's not okay. I feel like every day I see call out posts for cosplayers acting inappropriately, and it's just getting ridiculous at this point. And I really hope bigger influencers in the cosplay community share this kind of stuff around to help people realize what is okay in cosplay and what is not okay in cosplay. And kissing someone without their permission is not okay. You need to just ask people to do anything while you're in cosplay, in my personal opinion. I wouldn't just hug someone without their permission. I would definitely get the okay, especially if I don't know them. Because little things like that can be a trigger for someone that doesn't like touch. So please, if you go to any cons, ask permission to do anything. Ask permission for photos, ask permission for a hug. Anything, I would completely ask permission. This is our first time at Katsucon, and I gotta say, it was very underwhelming. It seemed extremely unorganized, overcrowded, and all over the place. It felt like there was more fun to be had outside of the convention areas than in them. We had a good time in the atrium and around the hotel areas, but it felt more like a huge cosplay meetup than a convention to us, which is still awesome, but the weekend tickets were unnecessary. Here's another separate anecdote that someone had. Literally, my Saturday, not even 5 seconds after I opened the lid to my briefcase, 30 plus people lined up. I was supposed to move to the other side of the ballroom like I did on Sunday after an hour or so before it got congested, but I ended up staying in the same spot for 10 hours. Apparently, Dealer Room cosplay repair guy never came back after Friday, so you and Cosplay Repair Fairy were the only repair guys that could sew. I'm gonna add my personal anecdote here to kind of close out this madness of a video. I've never had a panic attack at a convention before until Katsucon this year. I do have anxiety, but usually I can navigate crowds without getting full-blown panic attack. I do get anxious around big crowds, but I can usually be okay. On Saturday, we went to the Maid Cafe, my friends and I, and they did not have the film to do the checkies, which are kind of like physical photographs. Of course, Katsucon being unprepared this year, they didn't have it. They told us to come back later. We went back later, they still didn't have it, and for some reason they were closing off all of the hallways to go to the other side of the convention. Like, I don't know if this was a prank or whatever. I never got clarification on what happened there. If you know, then feel free to tell me down in the comments. But the overwhelming nature of plans just keep changing and just everyone being crowded around these like doors closing had me go into full panic attack, and I had to go back to my hotel room because it was just too much for me. I've never felt that overwhelmed at a convention before because of just I didn't know what was happening. I just see all these panels closing, and I assume that there's just danger then if they're closing off parts of the convention. So that was not a fun experience. I'm okay. I'm fine, but at the time, ooh, that was not fun. That was not fun. Also on Sunday, the fire alarm went off. I don't know if any other points in the convention that the fire alarm went off. I'm not entirely sure, but on Sunday, like midday, like around noon-ish, I think 1 p.m., the fire alarm starts going off and we have to evacuate. However, nobody can really hear this fire alarm because it's just so quiet and staff is like screaming at the top of their lungs to get people to go out. But a lot of people just didn't. The cosplay group that I was in, we all evacuated, took pictures outside, then went back in. It was clearly a prank because if it was a real fire, I feel like everyone would have been running. But it was definitely someone pulled the alarm. And if you do that, you're lame. Again, the main theme of this. If you do stupid things, you are lame. It felt like I was hyping up this big, juicy steak of a convention to everyone that I knew that was going to the con for the first time, and they got sold a Burger King Whopper. Like, yeah, it's okay, but I was not expecting this. I thought it was going to be high class. Katsucon, please do better. I really like going to Katsucon, but when I thought QCAC was the most disorganized con I'd go to, And then I go to this con and the ball is just completely dropped. So as you can see, this year's Katsu had a lot of issues, whether they were small issues or completely terrible major issues that need to be fixed. I really don't know how this happened besides the answer being understaffing. It seems like everything goes back to the staffing issue. This is just a PSA for every con that's happening. Please do not understaff, because if you understaff, you're going to just have another Katsucon 2023 on your hands. Whereas cons I've been to in the past, Queen City Anime Con, I don't think staffing was the biggest issue there. It was just disorganized with starting times and stuff like that. But Katsucon, it feels like every single issue either stems with not enough staff, not enough security, and you can blame some of the con goers like for mask issues and people being creeps and degenerates, of course. But with more staff and security, I feel like some of this stuff would have been alleviated. Yes, the rude staff is not helpful. So maybe I would say have a stricter guideline as to who can be a staff member, but it seemed generally like they really just needed anyone, and maybe that power went to some people's heads. But Katsucon, you really need to hire more staff. This year really felt different than the past 3 years that I've been, and I can say without a doubt that I had a lot of fun at this convention, but it could have been a lot better and a lot smoother if you did hire more security, more staff. And I feel like a lot of these issues wouldn't happen. And it really sucks for a lot of people's first Katsucon. I knew a lot of my friends, this was their first Katsucon, and this being their first experience with it, I don't think it left a good impression to them. I genuinely think a lot of people do not want to go back to Katsucon if this is going to be the precedent going forward. And honestly, I kind of agree. I love Katsucon. It's one of my favorite conventions to go to. But if it's going to be like this from here on out, I don't know. I think these changes need to be made, and I hope someone from Katsucon sees this video and actually takes these criticisms to heart and not just brush them off as people just complaining about nothing. I really want this con to be the best con ever. I genuinely love this con so much because I don't get that many cons in Maryland. Like, this is my home con that I don't have to spend exorbitant travel fees on. I don't have to go far. It's just so close to me. And so I feel a personal connection to Katsucon. So when it's not doing well, it makes me sad. It makes me upset that I can't be proud of my home convention, you know? I don't have any stake in Katsucon, of course, but I just have sort of that local pride for this convention. I usually go out of state to North Carolina for conventions because they have so many down there. But this is like the one Maryland con, and I don't want it to fall apart. So I really hope they take into consideration these issues. There is a survey that they put out. I will link it down in the description below so you can also tell Katsucon your experience and your complaints. And what they did well, I think that the Idol Fest is one of the best things that Katsucon does, and they finally started doing Idol Fest. It's a good change. Katsucon does listen sometimes, so I'm just hoping they take all of these criticisms and they make Katsucon 2024 a so much better con. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this, feel free to hit the like button or the subscribe button. I have plenty of Katsucon content to still get out, and plenty of anime convention content. My next con will be Animazement in May in North Carolina, so I will see y'all for the next video. Thank you for watching.